So I'm here to introduce Fiona McEntee. I just met Fiona earlier, but she's come across as a very brave person. Firstly, because she's an immigration attorney in the United States. Needless to say, hot topic at the moment. She's a managing partner of McEntee Law. She's also an activist, and the other reason I'd say she's brave because she's actually sued Donald Trump in the past. So please join me in welcoming Fiona to the stage.
I'm going to try. Can you hear me okay? Great. So, as Mark said, I am an immigration attorney in Trump's America, or the defendant's America, as I call him, given the lawsuit. But you might be surprised to hear that I actually love my job. And that's what I'm here today to talk a little bit about that. I think for us, it's easy to like your job, I hope, when times are good. Most of us would probably like our job. But I think, when times get tough, it can make us question whether or not we've made the right choice in our career. And I thought it was fitting that the theme of the conference is war stories, because I feel like most days we're in a battle. So, this battle actually really started almost from the moment that Trump took office in January 2017. All throughout the campaign, we had heard threats of banning Muslims from the US, and our bar association was naturally very concerned about this. So as a kind of preemptive measure, they asked us, would we be willing to sign up for an emergency standby list, just in case something was to happen. So my brother Ray works with me. He's also an immigration attorney. The two of us said, of course, we'll sign up for this list, and never in our wildest dreams did we think that anything was going to happen. We were obviously pretty wrong about that. So Saturday, January 28th is a day that I will never forget. The night before, I'd actually been out at a 40th birthday party, and waking up, if I'm being honest, I was a little hungover on the Saturday morning when I woke up, and I rolled over, grabbed my phone, started checking emails, and I saw one that to this day still haunts me. And basically, just to paraphrase everything, the email said, you need to get to the airport now. This is the time you sign, if you've signed up and can still go now. So, God, talk about waking up to that. So I rang Ray and I said, we need to go to the airport. And the night before, we now know that Trump had actually signed in the executive order that would become known as the travel Muslim ban. So Ray and I headed straight out to the airport, and within a few minutes of arriving, there was some other attorneys were there, and we were kind of just gathering. None of us really knew each other, but family members started approaching us, and they were asking, are you guys lawyers? Can you help us? And everyone was trying to figure out what was going on. So we kind of created like a makeshift legal triage center. And this man approached myself and Ray, and he was just explaining his story. He said he had a green card. He was there to pick up his wife and his child. They were coming back now. The wife had a green card. The child was actually a US citizen, born in the US, and was 18 months old. So he was there to pick them up, and he knew that the plane had landed a few hours previously, and this stage it was like 2 and 3 hours had gone past, and he was becoming more and more concerned. Now, I had never met this man and I'd never met this woman, but I felt this really strong connection to this mother, who I couldn't even get to because of the immigration officers would not let us see her, but I felt so strongly connected to her. And 2 weeks previously, I had come back from Ireland through O'Hare with my 2 children, and my husband was with me, and the flight is long, and I was just exhausted. And anyone who's ever flown with kids just knows when you touch down, you're just, oh God, as good as my children are angels, don't get me wrong, you're just wrecked. So I wanted to put them in their pajamas, bring them home, and I just kept thinking, this poor woman has been detained now 6, 7 hours. The child is a US, so I just felt this really strong connection to her, and they were being detained for no other reason other than this executive order. So knowing that this woman had no voice, I had a voice. And I'm an immigrant, I am an immigration lawyer, and I'm a mother. And I was like, I'm gonna use my voice for her and for everybody else that was detained. So this kind of madness was unfolding all over the States and airports, and reporters and supporters started arriving at O'Hare. And I became the ad hoc kind of media spokesperson for the team, which was not a thing that I was used to doing at all. So initially it was just like, radio interviews, reporters, and that was okay. And I just kind of felt if I can just get this woman's story out, if I can tell people what's happening, that we might be able to just change it. So then one of the reporters came to me and said, listen, there's an emergency broadcast on MSNBC, which is like CNN, basically. It's a nationwide TV station. So they were doing an emergency broadcast from O'Hare, and the reporter said, look, you did some local interviews earlier, would you be willing to do this one? And I was like, oh God, what, really? Me? Why? But I had to say yes. I couldn't say no. So he explained it's going to be live. There's going to be a reporter in New York. You'll have an earpiece in. He'll ask you questions. Will you do it? And I was like, oh God. I mean, it was really scary, to be honest. But that woman was still back there. That baby was detained. It was 6. I mean, I had to do it. So it was obviously unprecedented, unanticipated, but I just thought, this is what I have to do for her. So I have a little clip that I think just highlights just the insanity. The interview was actually 8 minutes long, and it felt like, oh God, so intense. But I just have, not an 8-minute long clip, but just a little clip here just to kind of highlight the intensity of it. If I
want to take you to Chicago's O'Hare Airport, where Fiona McEntee is one of those that set up a table. She is a lawyer, and Fiona, you're there because you want to offer assistance to those who may have been detained there at O'Hare Airport. We understand there's at least 10 that have been detained. What are you hearing in terms of numbers?
There are 13 that we know of that are still in secondary inspection. These are not refugees that are coming to the States. These are legal permanent residents. They're green card holders. They're U.S. citizens. Some of them have U.S. citizen family members with them, children, and there is a lady who's 81 years old. She's in a wheelchair. Her family have been here waiting for her for hours. It's really shocking. And I'm from Ireland, so I am an immigrant as well, and I'm a proud U.S. citizen, and this is not the America that I know. People don't travel all the way across the world to live in a country where there's this hatred and discrimination.
So that just gives you a little, oh my God. You're going to make me cry, and I still have like 10 minutes left. So that just gives you an insight into just what was going on. The woman and her child were later released, as were all the other detainees, and obviously the battle with the travel ban went on, and that's actually what we sued the administration over, not this lady, but other clients of ours. And I wish that was the end of the administration's attack on immigrants, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case either. I think, even earlier today, actually, there was another, change in policy with asylum seekers. There was DACA, the elimination of DACA, which was protection from deportation that Obama had instituted for certain undocumented youth. Obviously, we've all, I would assume, seen the images of the families separated at the border. And we know, that the impact of that policy will actually, the traumatic effects will not only go through the life of that child and their family, but it'll be carried down through generations. So this is kind of, when I talk about being at war and in battle and tough times in work, it's this kind of thing that we're dealing with. But even notwithstanding all this, I actually still really enjoy going to work every day. I've really always thought of this job like a vocation, like something I've been drawn to do. And it's definitely not for everybody, but some of your jobs would not be for me, and it's for me, and I feel like I was definitely born to do it. And, what makes me excited to go to work every day is the clients that we work with. Our clients are amazing.
I want to take you to Chicago.
Does everyone know the Coronas? So they've been clients of mine for years. This year they came to Chicago and they played at Lollapalooza, which is a huge music festival in Chicago. So for me, it was just extra proud and special, being Irish, knowing the lads for years and just kind of seeing their success highlighted on such a big stage was pretty exciting. And we don't just work with Irish clients. It's a question that comes up quite a bit. And I'm going to tell you a little story about a Turkish client of ours his name is Mert. And Mert and his best friend Yuri's an American guy, and they met in college. They were in Northwestern University, and a Northwestern hospital is affiliated with the university, and they came into one of the classes, and the hospital said, look, we have this huge problem, and we don't know how to fix it. And the problem was the spread of hospital-acquired infections, and they take 100,000 lives, these illnesses. The infections take over 100,000 lives in the US each year. So the hospital approached the class just to say, like, does anybody have any ideas? And the class, all different classmates kind of went, and they actually shadowed doctors in Northwestern to just try different ideas and see. And they just thought, we just can't solve this. Any idea they had just wasn't working. And they were one night on the beach in Chicago, and Mert said, he tells the story way better than I do, but he said he stood up to wipe the sand from his hands. He just went like this, and he was like, oh, this was his eureka moment. The company that they created is called SwipeSense. So you'll see it's actually a swiping device with hand sanitizer, but there's a whole software tracking system behind it, and it is accountability for hand hygiene to prevent the spread of these diseases. So SwipeSense have raised 23 million, over 23 million. They're employing about 40 people, and they're saving lives on a daily basis. And we're really proud to work with clients like that to see the impact that they're having, and proving that immigrants certainly make America great, as they do other countries. Another client who is just especially near and dear to my heart is Yulia. Yulia is an artist from Russia, and she came to the States to go to the Art Institute of Chicago, which is a really competitive, prestigious university. Yulia came in to just talk about what options she might have when she graduated from school. And we were kind of going through everything, and we just were chatting about her family, and her story just really, again, just hit home with me. She explained that she was an only child. Her parents were still in Russia. And I know how that feels with my parents being here and me being, it's hard when you're separated. But she explained that her parents had actually sold their family home in Russia, and they moved in with friends or other family members so that she could go to college, so that she could get this opportunity to live out her dream. And when I say just so kind of overcome as a parent, thinking about what we would all do for our children, the sacrifice that we make, and it's to give them opportunities that that we probably didn't have ourselves, or and it's this kind of same sacrifice that you see in the mothers and fathers at the border. There's a reason why they travel months up from Central and South America, to give their children these better opportunities. So Yulia's story ended in a really happy way. We got her the O1 visa. She is now the Extraordinary Ability O1 Artist visa. Her art has transformed. I mean, her images previously were dark kind of images of oppression, and and you can just see the transformation. She's free to express herself, and I would encourage you to check out her work online if anyone's interested. Her images are amazing, and hearing her speak about the inspiration behind them is just incredible. So maybe one day we'll get her to one of the events. Okay, so I've given my 2-minute warning. So yeah, apart from all these business entertainment clients, we get inquiries from individuals. So we never really know what each day is going to bring. So one day, not so long ago, we got a phone call from a young Irish girl. She was in her 20s. She rang and she was really upset. So I spoke to her, and she explained that she had been living in the States. She was on a year-long J1 visa, and she met this guy. They just fell madly in love. And her visa was expiring. she needed to leave, you know, and she was planning on coming back in when he got diagnosed with cancer. So she was trying to come back in to visit him, and she got denied entry at the airport. So she rang me in floods of tears, just not knowing if she would be able to get back. So she was in Ireland, he's in America, he has cancer and going through chemo, and, she was devastated. Now, this client story particularly impacted me because 2 weeks prior to that, my cousin, who's like a brother to me, had also just been diagnosed with cancer. So, I told her about my cousin, and we talked about her boyfriend, and I just said, look, the promise I made to her, I'll take on your case pro bono. I can't guarantee any result, but I will do whatever I can to try to get you back there. So we worked building her case, medical evidence, preparing her for her interview, and delighted when, and she told me I could use this image and share her story, but she's back in the States, and they're reunited while he's getting treatment. My cousin's in Ireland getting treatment, surrounded by family. But everything has just really made me just kind of stop and think about things, right? We spend a lot of time in work, and we need to kind of think about the job that we're doing, the work that we're doing. And I think that I've actually been able to get some type of comfort, being able to help our clients, and you can find it in kind of weird ways and unusual ways, and I feel like if you're living your true purpose, that you can find comfort in it, even in the darkest of times. So, thank you.